All right, homework time again. I believe this is the stuff due next Wednesday, the 21st. And it's going to be two homework sections. One is the cross sections with 3D objects. This requires some visualization, some ability to kind of imagine what you're going to see if you were to do something. It says, which two objects shown below could we slice perpendicular to their bases / faces to create a triangle cross section? So we're cutting them this way. I didn't mean to pick that. We're cutting them straight down. And we want to know if we did that, would we have a triangle? Now, they do help us here. They tell us that they're going to find two of those. So if we cut right down the peak of this, right down the middle, then what you're going to have is these sides right here, and then a line across the base. See like that? So you're going to have the two sides, and that's if you cut that perpendicular line. Imagine you could have a giant blade, and it could slice like you're looking at the blade, and it slices right down through the peak of that cone. What you would have is these two sides right here, and then a flat piece across the base where the diameter is. That would give me a triangle. Now, cubes. Basically, every time you cut a cube, same thing, we got a blade coming down. Even if we go right through the middle, or if we move more towards us, every single time what you're going to end up with is these two sides, and then flat sides on top and bottom. You're actually going to end up with rectangles. Now, some of those rectangles might be squares, but they're all rectangles. So as you're cutting that blade, as that blade drops straight down, it's going to give me four sides, not three. Same thing goes here. If you drop this straight down, right down through the middle, you're going to end up with a top piece. There's a one line there. Then you're going to have the lines for the sides, and then you're going to have a line across the bottom. So again, we're not getting a three-sided figure. We're getting a four-sided figure. So we're getting a rectangle, a parallelogram. In this case, they're rectangles. But you are definitely not going to get a triangle. And that kind of gives away that this one's also going to be. And again, it's the same idea. If you chop straight down through the middle of that pyramid, you're going to have a line here, and then a line going across the bottom. So the cross sections of that can create a triangle. Now, there are other cross sections you can get when you cut some of these shapes, but these are the two that can give us a triangle. All right, what are the two shapes of cross sections we could slice by slicing the cone perpendicular to its base? We're going to choose two answers. Okay, so again, what they're talking about, we just talked about it on the last problem. If we cut it right down through the very peak, right, you're going to shoom, and you're going to end up with a side here, and a side here. So we know that one was a triangle. Now, if we move it forward or backward, so it's not hitting right at the peak, so it's coming through and it's slicing this side. What you're actually going to end up here is a curve. See, because it's going to curve, but it's never going to reach out like a strong point. It's going to have a curve to it. And so it's actually a parabola. But here they don't even give us that choice. They just say shape with two edges. It's going to have a sharp bottom edge, but then it's going to have a curved side. So those are the two. Which object shown below could we slice perpendicular and create a trapezoid cross section? Okay. Well, that, again, we just talked about the cone. We can get a triangle. We can get the parallelogram. Cylinder really makes no difference where you cut it perpendicular. Every single time it's going to be a straight across line, two lines straight down, straight across line here. Same thing goes for a cube. Every time you cut it, you're going to get a straight across line, straight down, straight across line. You're not going to get the idea of a trapezoid. Now, this one's going to give you a trapezoid, and why is because when you come up here and you cut straight down on this is going to be shorter. Then you're going to have a sloped sides, and then you're going to have the longer base. So you're going to have a short top, and then two sides coming down. And then what are the two shapes? Again, they just asked us this with a diagonal. What are the two shapes, cross sections we can create by slicing the cone diagonal to its base? Okay, so what that means is you're coming across like this. And this is where they are going to talk about two answers. Well, we're going to do that same thing again. If we come across and we cut diagonal, you're going to get, if you cut it parallel, you're just going to get a circle. But if you tilt it diagonal, it's not going to be a circle anymore. It's going to be stretched out. It's going to be a kind of a round shape, but it's not going to be a perfect circle. It's going to be like a stretched out one. That's called an ellipse. And we're going to get that same shape we did before if we cut it where it hits the bottom. We're still going to get that curvy shape, but we're going to get a straight line at the bottom and a curvy shape. And again, that's going to be a parabola. All right, that one's a little bit difficult for some. The mental visualizations can be hard. I perfectly understand that. But believe me, ask questions. We'll see if I can help explain it, but that one can be a little bit difficult to understand. Now, let's move on to rotate 2D shapes in 3D. Now, what this is doing is we're having to visualize again what solid 3D object is produced by rotating the triangle about this line. So imagine it doesn't move. That's solid. You could grab this corner and you could pull it, and as you pull it, it turns solid. So as you're pulling, this is going to come off the screen. It's going to come off the screen. It's going to spin around. Okay, that top is going to make a circle. And then it's all going to feed down to a point. Well, what kind of shape has a circular base but then goes to a point? Well, that's a cone. And the base here has a radius of 3. So fortunately, they just really gave us two choices, a cylinder or a cone. This is clearly going to be a cone, and the radius base will be 3. Okay, what 3D object is produced by rotating the square about this line? So again, you're going to grab basically that edge and you're going to pull, and as you do, it's going to turn solid, it's going to loop around. Well, again, just like on the last one, when you have this line and we start pulling and it comes off the screen and it spins, that's making a circle. Well, we're going to have the same circle on the top and the bottom. Well, that clearly means we're going to have a cylinder. It's a circle on the top, circle on the bottom. And again, the radius is 5. The diameter would be 10. The radius is 5. Okay, now we're going to rotate this circle around the line. Now, if you rotate a circle around a line, think about what happens. You're basically taking that circle and you're spinning and it turns solid. You're not going to end up with a hemisphere. You're going to end up with a whole sphere. Okay, so you're spinning it, you end up with a whole sphere, and again, it's a radius of 2, not a diameter of 2. Last one, what is the solid 3D when produced by rotating this rectangle around this line? Now this one's even a little bit harder to visualize, but you do love the fact that they gave us 3 pictures. Okay, so think about what's happening. This is coming out towards you. So this side will remain flat. You're just rotating this top piece. It's coming off the board. It's going around. It does have a hole in it because there's not anything solid there. So this is coming around. This bottom is coming around. So clearly we have flat sides. We don't have curved sides. So we don't have the torus. And then this side is the same thickness as this one. So it's consistent all the way through. So it's not like this weird kind of tapered shape. So it's got to be the 2. Basically, you're making a pipe if you do that. All right, like I said, those are a little bit more difficult because they do require visualization, and that can be really hard for people. So don't hesitate to ask. I hope my explanations helped a little bit, but again, please don't hesitate to ask if you're confused.